You are not a machine and you are not a robot. You are a human being and you deserve all the time for fun and rest and whatever it is that you need. And if you only have 20% to give today and you give that 20%, then that means that you gave 100%. True freedom is when you can do what genuinely works best for you and you are not at all concerned about how that looks from the outside. I spent most of my life feeling like I always had to do more before I could finally slow down, thinking that if I could just get everything right, I would finally be able to relax. Be productive enough, be good enough, get high grades in school, work hard, get promoted at my job, have a perfect body and a perfectly clean home. I believe that if I could just keep everything right, I could finally feel safe, at peace, and like I was good enough. When I was exhausted, I kept going. When I felt too tired to complete my to-do list, I felt like I had failed. Fun was conditional and only for when everything else felt on track. But meanwhile, without realizing it, my life was already happening. In the ordinary moments between to-do lists, in the conversations with loved ones and strangers, in the quiet mornings, in the sunsets and the summer breezes and the yummy pastries. And it took me more than 30 years and a big huge burnout to realize that I was kind of doing life wrong. Life is not a problem to solve, it's something to live. And I know that sounds obvious, but I genuinely think that many of us have kind of forgotten this. We optimize, we compare, we chase, we distract ourselves constantly. We wait for our real life to begin and we think happiness will arrive when we have a certain job, a certain house, a certain life, a certain body. Maybe you also struggle to rest without guilt. Maybe your brain immediately jumps to what you should be doing. Maybe you feel behind all the time, even when you're trying your best. And I realized that that feeling of being good enough and being safe and worthy and loved is something that I can already give myself right now. It doesn't have to be earned first. I can just choose, and you can choose, to feel safe and worthy and good enough right here, right now, just as we are. So today I want to share with you what took me 3 decades to figure out and hopefully save you some time and some heartache and talk about how life is for living. So as always, feel free to grab yourself a nice cozy drink if you want and join me and let's talk about it. I think one of the biggest reasons that people might forget to actually live their life is that we've kind of somehow turned it into a performance review. Like we compare how much we're doing to what others are doing and we measure our self-worth by how productive we are, how much we got done, how hard we worked, and how many things we can juggle at the same time without falling apart. And when we finally do rest, we either feel guilty about it or we're not actually resting properly. We're kind of just distracting ourselves with our devices and more technology because we're too tired to do anything else. And it's not just that we are doing that to ourselves, but modern life also often kind of requires that of us. We need to juggle a bunch of things and work very hard to make ends meet. And being busy is kind of seen as something to be proud of. And if you're not feeling completely exhausted trying to keep up, then that means that you are lazy or complacent. And I feel like with technology, it was supposed to help us with this. We invented things like dishwashers and robot vacuums and computers and smartphones and AI and productivity tools to help us save time and to make things easier for us. But instead of these things giving us more free time and rest, we just kind of raise the bar and we use that time to be productive in other ways. We're expected to be reachable by work at all times. We're supposed to turn our hobbies that are deeply nourishing activities into side hustles. We try to optimize our sleep and our workouts, track our habits, constantly be trying to improve ourselves. So the goalpost just keeps moving and somewhere along the way, stress and busyness and speed became our default. And it took me a few decades to truly realize that productivity is not the most important thing and that comparing our productivity to that of other people is unnecessary and often unrealistic. As a highly sensitive person, I spent years trying to function like other people who simply had different energy levels than me. And I thought the problem was me, that I just needed to push myself harder, But now I know that not everyone has the same nervous system, not everyone's brain is wired in the same way, and we all have our own unique strengths and talents. Some people need a bit more quiet, more recovery, more rest, more alone time. That is not failure, that's being human. And we all need these things, and we all deserve those things regardless of our output or our productivity. So the problem is that we are learning to ignore our own limits and our body's subtle signs and cues, just trying to keep up. And if you're anything like me, then you might eventually burn out. I now know that my burnout was my body trying to save me because I had tied my sense of worthiness to my productivity. And if I had a productive day, I felt good about myself, and if I didn't, I felt anxious or like I was failing, and that is no way to live. You are not a machine and you are not a robot. You are a human being, and you deserve all the time for fun and rest and whatever it is that you need. You are worth so much more than your output. And if you only have 20% to give today, and you give that 20%, then that means that you gave 100%, and that is 100% good enough. And what you need to realize is that your life is happening right now, not just on the productive days or the successful days when your house is clean and you've done your workout and your inbox is empty, but also on the tired days, on the slow days, on the messy and emotional days, or just the ordinary days where not much special is happening. In the end, you're not going to care about how productive you've been. You're going to remember the joy, the laughter, the peace, the people that you loved, the experiences that you were truly present for. So allow yourself to live your life without needing to earn it first. You already deserve it, and you're already good enough right now. Another way we can stop ourselves from truly living is by living too much for other people. I have always struggled with this myself, with people pleasing, and I've been that way ever since I was little. I've always been very sensitive to other people's opinions and reactions, and trying very hard not to rock the boat or upset anyone, placing that before my own health and happiness. So I became very good at adapting, being easygoing, being helpful, smile, not make too big a deal about things. Being a people pleaser can show up in big and small ways. Some people might choose a career that their parents would approve of. Some people might stay in relationships or friendships that no longer feel right. Or in smaller ways, saying yes to something when you really want to say no, over-explaining yourself so that nobody gets upset, laughing things off when they've actually really hurt your feelings. I've done that so many times. Or pushing through your exhaustion and putting your own needs last because you don't want to disappoint anyone. When your main focus becomes keeping everyone else around you happy, you stop asking yourself what it is that you need. And when you're used to people pleasing, doing something for yourself can make you feel guilty or selfish. But I have learned that guilt can also be a feeling that comes up when you do something differently than you normally do, and it is something that you can practice. When you start setting boundaries or saying no or listening to your own needs and protecting your peace, it can feel selfish. But all you really need to ask yourself is if this is reasonable. If you care about others feeling good and comfortable, then it is also reasonable to care about you feeling good and comfortable to the same degree. One thing that helped me here was learning to listen to my body's cues and my own gut feeling, because oftentimes we already know if we want to say yes or no to something. There might be this heavy feeling in your body of like dread or feeling anxious. You might experience a tight feeling in your stomach or tenseness in your shoulders. If doing something for someone else is costing you more than it is helping them, then that is a sign to say no and look for another solution. And something I learned is that this is okay even if other people don't fully understand it. People are allowed to be disappointed with you sometimes. That doesn't make you a bad person. And you are not responsible for managing other people's emotions all the time. You are allowed to change your mind, to say no, to prioritize rest and fun for yourself, to change and outgrow things and evolve. Because at the end of the day, this is your life. This is a big one, living versus constant distraction. We have become so used to constant stimulation and distraction that for many people, silence and boredom feel uncomfortable now. Standing in line somewhere, we grab our phone. On the train, phone. Watching a movie, Also scrolling on our phone. We're on our phone in the bathroom. We're listening to things when we're eating or cooking or walking. I recently heard another creator talk about how she listens to audiobooks at 2x speed while playing a phone game while eating breakfast. There's barely any time left when we are just alone with our thoughts and when we are not distracted by something or even by multiple somethings at once. And the thing is, this isn't happening by accident because our attention is now one of the most valuable resources in the world. And there are billion-dollar companies competing for it constantly, which means that the apps that we are on are designed to keep us always engaged and hooked and consuming and watching. I kind of feel old when I say this, but in a good way, because I remember a time when I just went out to play with my friends outside and I didn't have my phone with me because cell phones didn't exist at the time, and my parents just told me where I was and wasn't allowed to go and to be home by the time the streetlights came on. And life is just so different now. Our technology gives us endless tiny hits of dopamine and our brain gets used to constant novelty and stimulation. So much so that people can't enjoy sitting down with their book anymore because they have trouble holding their attention to it. We have to have systems in place to protect ourselves from this and to be able to be still, embrace silence, nothingness, or even boredom sometimes, and to protect our attention more carefully because where your attention goes, your life goes. And I'm not saying you need an analog bag or a dumb phone or to move to a cabin in the woods. We just need balance. We need some moments of the day when we put the phone away and we leave our mind unstimulated and when we can focus on doing one thing at a time or just look around a bit and see what's happening around us. In practical terms, maybe you set some rules for yourself where you're not allowed to use your phone, like the bedroom or on your commute to work, or not taking your phone with you to the bathroom. Remember that life is for living, so every once in a while, put your phone away and go live your life. Another way I think that we can stop ourselves from fully living our lives is by being too aware of how we are being perceived. So instead of just living our life, there's now also this added layer of performing them. And I don't even mean this in a very dramatic way. I think a lot of this can happen in small subconscious ways. For example, I love doing yoga at home by myself. And part of that is that I don't have to travel anywhere to do my yoga. But another big part of that is that when I'm at home by myself, there's no one around to impress, and I can just focus on how my body feels in the poses rather than on how I'm being perceived. I can come out of the pose and take a break when I need to. I can skip certain poses if they don't feel right in my body today. I can wear what I want, have my crazy hair, move slowly, be messy. And when I'm in a group setting, part of my attention, and I think that is very normal and something that most people do, consciously or not, is kind of pulled away to how we're being perceived. Am I stretching deep enough? Does this pose look like I know what I'm doing? Is my stomach showing? Am I breathing too loud? And I think we do this in many different aspects of our life. For example, I truly love staycations. I love exploring my own area, sleeping in my own bed, reading in cafes nearby, going for walks, resting. It truly helps me feel relaxed and restored. But they're not very impressive. It sounds much more impressive to say that you went somewhere exotic or adventurous and you had this amazing travel at this gorgeous location. And I've had many people tell me after I talk about them about my staycation that they would love to do that sometime. But it just somehow never really occurred to them because it's so unimpressive. We recently visited the Keukenhof, which is this huge spring flower garden here in the Netherlands, and it was beautiful. I truly enjoyed the flowers, their colors and their smells, the gentle spring sunshine, birds singing everywhere. It felt a little magical even. But I also noticed many people trying to get the perfect photo, and they were kind of like crouching down in between the tulips, constantly like rearranging angles and readjusting the poses and repeating, trying to get the perfect picture, and they genuinely looked uncomfortable and like they were not having a fun time. And this made me kind of sad because I kept thinking, are we still experiencing our lives or are we just documenting them? And I'm not judging, like I like photos too sometimes and we all want the memories, but I think that the experience should still be the biggest part, focusing on enjoying being there rather than on just having something to turn into content or post about online to impress others. My partner and I went out to dinner yesterday, and beforehand we made a little agreement together. No photos, not a single photo. And it felt a little bit rebellious even. And the food was really great. It was one of those places where the food was a little bit fancier with ingredients that I had never heard of, like sea banana. And it was all plated beautifully, but I fought my instinct to take pictures of every single plate of food and instead kept my phone in my bag the entire evening, and it was great. I noticed the atmosphere better, the textures and the flavors of the food, the fun and the conversation. The whole thing was very stress-free, and I also didn't get distracted by seeing a text or an email come in when I was taking out my photo to take a picture. I think many of us make decisions based on the version of ourselves that we want others to see and approve of, especially now that we can post everything online. We go down the path that looks more impressive or successful, or how we look the most attractive, but other people's opinions are just that, they're opinions, and they are probably more so focused on themselves anyway. True freedom is when you can do what genuinely works best for you and you are not at all concerned about how that looks from the outside. Choose the vacation that actually restores you, the hobbies that nourish you, the clothing you feel comfortable in, and the lifestyle that keeps your cup filled. Another way we can accidentally stop living our lives to the fullest is by postponing our happiness. This feeling of I'll be happy when we move to a new place, when I make more money, when I lose the weight, when I find a partner, when I have a perfect wardrobe, whatever it is. And of course, there's nothing wrong with wanting things or having goals that you are working on, but I think the problem starts when our happiness feels conditional, like we need a certain thing in order to finally start living our life and be happy. You reach one goal and it feels nice for a little while, but then your brain adjusts and the goalpost just moves and you look towards a new goal, or the next step in your career, or a bigger house, or a newer car, or maybe you want a thigh gap or something else. And this can even tie into things like minimalism and decluttering when we're working on perfecting our wardrobe and it never truly feels finished or ready. We're just constantly working on decluttering stuff and buying new stuff. And modern life feeds into this as well, because every day we are exposed to thousands of ads telling us what we are lacking: better skin, a more aesthetic apartment, a more exciting life with travels, or a better career. And this always creates this subtle feeling of scarcity and lacking. For me, what really helped here was tapping into the philosophy of minimalism, not just, owning 2 fancy beige bowls and getting rid of my furniture, but truly, like, the thought of it, asking yourself, what do I actually need to feel content right now? What do I need to feel comfortable and safe in my own home? For example, when I was still shopping for clothes, I realized that what I was trying to shop for wasn't clothing at all. It was a feeling of confidence, a feeling of being stylish and put together and confident in the outfit that I was wearing. And I realized that I already had everything I needed to give myself that feeling if I could just lean into my authentic self and stop shopping so much. Something else that can help break this cycle is gratitude. We don't have to wait until we arrive somewhere or achieve something or own something. We can already be grateful for the abundance of things that we already have, like the mug that you drink your lovely coffee from that you made for yourself, or a friend who called you today, or a comfortable sweater that you've had for more than 10 years. So the lesson here is to stop delaying your happiness and your joy until XYZ has happened, because before you know it, years of your life will have passed you by. There is no moment when your life will truly feel complete and free of issues and problems forever. It won't happen. There will always be something. But there is also only this moment. Today, this ordinary day, is a day of your life that tomorrow will be over. So try to be grateful and know that you already have everything you need to really live your life right now. I recently asked for video ideas and requests and suggestions, and someone commented that they would love some kind of action item or reflection as part of the video to take with them into the following days. And I thought that that was a very good idea. So maybe for now, either grab a pen and a notebook if you want to keep it private, or maybe comment underneath this video if you want to share it, what your biggest takeaway was from this video. You could ask yourself, what are some areas of my life where I've been postponing happiness? If no one else could see my life, what would I do differently? Or how can I give myself the feeling of being good enough instead of trying to deserve it first? And if you feel like sharing, I would genuinely love to hear from you in the comments. What is one small thing that you want to start doing differently after watching this? I want to thank you all so much for being here again. I took a little break and I'm very happy to be back. A large part of this video was also kind of formed by reflections that I've had during taking some time off, and it's been very nice. I want to thank all of you who are part of this community here on YouTube. You are amazing, and I really missed the connection with you during my break, so I'm very happy to be back here. So thank you for being a part of that. And I also want to say an extra special thank you to my channel supporters, both on Patreon and here on the YouTube memberships, for helping me to keep this channel going. My channel supporters are a very big part of how I'm able to do this as my job and keep making videos for everyone. So a huge thank you to them. And if you want to get more videos from me and also help support the channel, then you can always become a channel supporter too. You can choose for yourself if you want to join on Patreon or on YouTube memberships. They're basically the same extra videos. It's just a matter of which platform you would prefer. And of course, you can always join and cancel anytime you want as well. As always, thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will see you all again soon with a new video. Bye-bye. So I actually had a bit of a case of writer's block writing for this video. It took me about 3 days to write the script for it. And I had some perfectionism going on as well, because this is the first video that I'm uploading since getting back from my break. But yeah, I'm happy with how it turned out, so I hope you like it.